Am I wrong for throwing my husband out after finding nudes from the nanny? I'm new to Reddit, but my little sister suggested I ask here. I'm 28 female. My daughter is Cassie, 11 months, and my husband is Alex, 35. So basically, it's just what the title says. I had Cassie and then returned to work, psychologist, as I could never be a stay-at-home mom. I'm actually French, but live in the US. So when I returned at the 4-month mark as I had a difficult birth, we looked around to find a nanny to look after Cassie, whilst myself and Alex were at work. We saw a few girls, but then one of Alex's colleagues suggested his daughter, who had dropped out of college. Let's call her Liv. 20 female. Everything went well, admittedly. I did notice her being quite attached to Cassie, but I brushed it off as a good friendship between the two. She also liked Alex. It was obvious she had a crush on him, always batting her lashes and giggling. I actually found it amusing as I'm confident in myself. He always laughed it off with me too. But then on Thursday night, he asked me to do something on his phone whilst he bathed Cassie, and I saw some pictures flash up from Liv. When I looked at them, they were obviously sexy nudes. She was wearing skimpy lingerie and in provocative poses. I looked back at the history, and she had been sending these for a while. As far as I can see, Alex has never responded, but obviously texts can be deleted. When I asked him, he got defensive and told me to stop using my psychiatrist tricks on him. I was not happy with his non-answers, and it ended up in a shouting match, waking Cassie. So I got him a bag and threw him out. Told him he's not welcome back until I have answers. I'm considering taking Cassie back home to see my family in France for a little bit. His mother and friends have been blowing up my phone, saying I'm being too harsh, and they were harmless texts. Nevertheless, I feel disrespected, and that doesn't fly with me. Was I too harsh? Should I accept his claims that he never responded? Edit. Not husband, fiancé. Also, I'm not taking Cassie to France. We will visit my family for a few weeks, and Alex has given consent. Comment 1. The very first time she did that, he should have showed it to you, and the two of you should have discussed what to do, which should have included terminating her employment as your nanny. Comment 2. You're not wrong. He went behind your back by not telling you about the nudes. I would not allow Liv to babysit anymore. It's honestly weird that someone her age would try to seduce your husband, who is 35 years old, and even weirder, that your husband didn't say anything about it. There's clearly something going on between them, and I would force him to admit the truth to you. It doesn't even matter if he responded to her pics or not, he still broke your trust by not informing you about it. Comment 3. There's nothing harmless in that behavior. You have been betrayed. That he tolerated it is enough. Where were the texts telling her he was a married man in love, a father, her dad's friend, and that this was her last 2 weeks? Why did he immediately jump to accusing you of tricks? I would have fired the nanny, told Hub's friend exactly why, and then watched his reactions. You're not wrong. I'm sorry your husband cheated on you by continuing to accept these pictures. I'm sorry he allowed that person access to your home and your whole family. Comment 4. You're not wrong. This is horrible. He should have told you with the first photo, and the nanny should have been fired. I absolutely think there is more going on here, which is why he was gaslighting you. You said her father is your husband's colleague. Well, I would be reaching out to him, letting him know, and then firing her. I find it hard to believe that he never responded. Why not mention it to you then? I would not be okay with this situation at all. Update. I'd like to start this off addressing the comments, stating I'm kidnapping my daughter. I'm taking her with me to visit my family back home in France for a few weeks. Her father has given his consent. It is a non-issue. There was also confusion about my job. I work in the psychology field, and I was just using this post as a sounding board really. The responses from his friends and mother made me question myself. As stated, I informed Liv's father of what happened. He was furious, both with Alex and Liv. He apologized to me and said he will try to get the truth from her and that she rebels any chance she gets, but this was disgusting. I then looked through the camera in my daughter's nursery, and I saw a clip of Liv asking if she wanted a sister or brother from Miss Livy and Daddy. That made me feel sick to my stomach. She responded to her dismissal with denials, but I told her I had the footage and that she was to never lay a hand on my baby again. But if she wanted Alex so bad, she could have him. I reminded her that how you get them is how you lose them, and he would soon tire of a 20-something college dropout kid. Alex returned to the house temporarily for us to talk. After me showing him the camera footage and texts from Liv, he broke down and said he was really sorry. He admitted that, whilst nothing had physically happened between them, they had been exchanging photos and messages for a month or two. He showed me the original messages, and it was her who had pursued him. She started by saying she felt like a schoolgirl around him and said she needed advice from an important man like him, and sent a photo of her in lingerie, asking if it was sexy. He started out not really responding, but after a few texts, he responded, and it started from there. She was saying things about them being a happy family together, but he never responded to those texts. He begged me to forgive him and start fresh. He said we can move, and that we have plenty of money. He will do whatever I want. I told him what I want is to go home for a few weeks, so that's what I'm doing. Cassie and I are flying tomorrow. He honestly looks so pathetic right now. They are welcome to each other. There will be no wedding, and I will be consulting with a custody lawyer once I get to France to see my options, both in the US and internationally. But as someone in the comments said, I stayed in the US, not because I think it's a good place to live, but because that's where Alex was based and wanted to build our family. However, I will always support the daughter-father relationship, but he cannot have our daughter and his nanny. Now that's not happening. I would like to move home, and most certainly away from the slutty nanny. I am not looking for custody advice. Mini update from Liv's father. He has found and sent me some of the deleted messages. Liv talks about wanting me out of the picture so she can be Cassie's mom. What the F? Comment 1. She really was 100% delusional, OP. And Alex fed into it. Do you trust his judgment for the kind of people he would bring around your child? Especially once he starts dating again? Are you sure your daughter will remain his priority while she is solely in his care? I know it is never ideal, but please don't completely dismiss you having full custody. If moving back home to France is what's best for you and her, he can travel and bend his life to accommodate hers. If he doesn't, you have your answer. Comment 2. Many people are foolish. Don't listen to them. What kind of father would he be for your daughter if you had equal custody? He obviously cannot be trusted, and that is the worst kind of father for a girl or a boy to have. Case in point is his behavior with a 20-year-old nanny. He didn't shut her delusional behavior down, and he allowed her to send him nude photos and to have this young, deranged woman state she wanted you out of the way without calling her out or cutting their relationship off. Seek legal advice in France. I would hope that those circumstances should make it fairly easy for you to get full custody, as long as you allow some kind of every 2 weeks visitation for him, which he likely wouldn't use anyway. Best of luck. Comment 3. As if the affair itself was not bad enough, he was doing nothing to discourage the slutty nanny's delusion about having a happy family with Alex and Cassie. Gosh, was she going to turn into a bunny boiler and go after OP too? How could Alex not see that he was entertaining the advances of a psycho? I think you are making the safest and wisest choice to pursue full custody. He has not demonstrated that he can make sound decisions for his family. Please share your evidence of the nanny's delusions and Alex's entertaining of it with your custody attorney. Update 2. Cassie and I have been in France for 2 days now. It's been so wonderful to be back with my family after missing them for so long. They've been doting on Cassie, especially my mother and father, who even though are divorced, remain very amicable for the sake of my sisters and I. Mama had a whole room set up with toys and blankets for Cassie. I've also been loving the wine and cheese and gossiping with my sisters. It's been very good to let loose after all of the stress, honestly. And I've gotten to ride my family's horse and show him to Cassie finally. Someone suggested I meet up with some old friends to go out and let loose, so that's exactly what I did last night. I had a great night meeting back up with some of my old university friends. We went out into the city, had some great food and wine, and went dancing. There's this one guy from our group who used to very flirty with me back in the day. Anyways, one thing or another happened, and we ended up going back to his place. It was good actually. He listened to what I wanted, and we were both very pleased at the end. Cassie's happy, as am I. I'm meeting a lawyer today, and my ex has been ringing. I let him talk to Cassie whenever he wants, but I'm refusing to engage whilst I'm on my break. Edit. People need to calm down. I didn't say I'd had sex with him. Since people seem to want details, we went back to his, talked about life, and had a makeout session. Although it doesn't matter, as I had kicked me ex to the curb already. Also, Liv contacted me out of anger when Alex cut all contact with her to show that they had a one-night stand a few weeks before I found out. Comment 1. Thank you for the update. And, wow, he had a one-night stand with this girl? Well, that just goes to show his family that they were not harmless texts. They were tempting texts, and he gave in, and he does not deserve a second chance, just because. And no, you do not owe anybody any explanations about whether you're banging someone else or not. Alex already left the relationship. He ended it when he chose a 20-year-old girl. You have no responsibility to him. As for the kidnapping bit, not sure where people get off saying that. You two weren't married, right? Final update. 6 months later. A lot of you still comment on my old posts, asking for an update, so I thought I'd let you guys know what's happened in the past few months, as I'm sure it'll anger the men in the comments again. So, after going to France to visit my parents, immediately after what happened 6 months ago, I agreed with my family that I needed to come home to France with my daughter. My family said they would provide any help I needed with moving and lawyers, and my father said a prayer we never had the wedding, as there was no divorce to have to go through. When I returned to the US, I informed my ex-fiancé that there would be no compromise or discussion on my next steps. Cassie and I were returning to France, so I would have my support system closer, and I wouldn't feel so isolated. I told him I'd never try to stop his relationship with Cassie, and that he would be welcome to visit her in France, depending on where he decided to live, and that I would happily bring her back to the States for visits periodically. However, I wouldn't compromise with Liv. If I found out she had been near my daughter, I would stop all contact between him and Cassie. I felt like after what he had put me through, and how he had disrespected me, I was quite gracious with my offers. We managed to sort the move out in the next 2 months and signed an agreement, which stated I was the primary custodian of our daughter, and I made most decisions regarding her. It set out specific times Alex would be able to see or have Cassie. He basically agreed to all of this, because he thought once I had left the US, I would become more sympathetic and let him back in once we were in France. I didn't bother to correct him, frankly, because it benefited myself. I found a really nice apartment, a street over from my parents, so I moved in there, once my parents and sister had helped me get it decorated before I came to France. We've been here for just over 4 months now, and Cassie is settling in great. She goes to a daycare with my friend's son and has made great connection here with other kids. I'd forgotten how much more social the side of having kids was in Europe compared to the US. Once I was added to the parents' group chat, the other mothers had immediately suggested welcome drinks to get to know me better, and I've made some amazing friends with other moms and dads. I didn't have any of this in the US. It's really helped Cassie's language skills, as her French is developing much better than when it was just me speaking it to her. I've put her in baby ballet, like my parents did with me, and she's loving it. We've gotten a rescue cat called Walter, and Cassie adores him. He sleeps at the end of her bed and looks after her all the time. Alex has been over twice since, even though I had given him plenty more chances to see Cassie. However, he didn't take me up on them. For context, there is no issue with money or his passport to excuse why he won't fly. We spent Christmas with my parents and my sister and her partner, and it was just a lovely celebration after the shit that happened. I've started seeing one of the doctors from the new hospital I work in now. It's still relatively new, So she's met Cassie only briefly. She works in the emergency department, and she's honestly amazing. I did jokingly say Alex had put me off men, but didn't mean to take it so literally. Bisexual woman. Shocking, I know. It's going slow as she knows what I've just come out of, but she's very laid back and a go-with-the-flow type of person, which is exactly what I needed. Alex's mother is not happy, as she is of the opinion I should have just ignored what happened between Alex and Liv. However, I'm not just a little American housewife who will ignore her husband's indiscretions. Edit. For all the Americans getting annoyed at the phrase, little American housewife. Not my words. I was quite literally quoting Alex's mother and what she said to me. She is an American. She said when I was in her family, I was expected to act like a normal American housewife and forgive my husband, like her and her daughter do. None of that European nonsense. Edit. It's really funny to see the men in the comments, proving that there is still a double standard. I don't know why I, as the mother, am expected to stay in a country that doesn't speak my first language, where I don't have any family, little friends, no support, have to deal with Alex's family, all for his sake. So he doesn't have to make an extra effort to see his daughter, when he was the one who decided to break the family in the first place. Also, Americans, I'm sorry I'm not insulting you.